All right, Wes. So we talked about the ones with weapons, our combat, racing games with weapons. Now we're going to talk about without the weapons. We have to start with the goat, Burnout.
Oof. Yeah. Well, which Burnout?
Arguably, you're going to say three. I'm going to say Revenge. I already know that's what's going to happen. They're both fantastic. I can't really argue. I can just say I think Revenge is better. I'm not going to argue that three is worse. They're almost equally as good. I
They
just
are
have more
really,
nostalgia for
really
three.
good. They are
They're,
really, really good.
I
They're
mean, it
really,
doesn't get
really
much more
good.
fun than that, really.
And the first Burnout game was just very average,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, okay. And then they did Burnout 2, and they added the crash mode, which made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's when people really started to pay attention.
But then they did 3 Takedown. Oh man, it was on at that point.
Yeah, the takedowns made a huge difference, man. Like traffic checking, taking people down. Oh my god, the slow motion when you would hit
Oh,
the car and you would see the whole car like just get destroyed. So cool. And then
hmm
you just keep racing like 2 seconds later. My god.
and it introduced the world of Fall Out Boy, Dance Dance, because that was like one like the main song.
Yeah, that's when they like broke out. They had a
hmm
few albums before them, but that was like the breakout album.
And then it got even better with Burnout Revenge.
Mhm.
Oh man, such awesomeness.
Yeah, it's
Love,
really, really, really
love, love.
good. I mean, Revenge and Takedown are very similar. Like they're not worlds apart by any means. I played more of Revenge, and I think I just have more nostalgia for Revenge. Um,
Well, Revenge Gate introduced rivals.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it
that makes sense.
introduced the rivals. So that kind of what set the two apart. But then everything fell apart when they gave us Burnout Paradise.
What a disappointment. And I know some people
Ah,
really, really love Paradise, but I'm like, dude, this. I played it for like a half an hour. So it's like, why am I driving? Just put me in the damn race. Why do I want to drive to this city to get to a race? Just put me in the race, and then I won't have to drive to the race. How about we do that?
it's all I wanted to do. It's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to drive around and view the scenery. I didn't want to go to find a garage and change cars. No, 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 no. That's not Burnout.
We're never gonna have Burnout. Even if EA brought Burnout back, it would not be the same because those people left. They're making different games now.
Mm-hmm.
The main people who left are still making Burnout like games called Dangerous Driving, which we're gonna get into in a little while. Um,
Which is really good.
you know what? Let's just do it now. Forget it. Dangerous Driving is made by the people who made Burnout, and it's awesome. And they're making a new game, probably coming out this year. I don't remember the name of the game, but if you Google Three Fields Entertainment, you will find out whatever the name of that game is, because they're the ones who made Dangerous Driving. Dangerous Driving is Burnout without the crash mode, essentially. That's the best way I could
Yes,
describe it. And there's no official like they might have some songs in there, but what you really need to do, if you have a Spotify premium account, you can link it to the game and you can play whatever you want while you're racing it. It is spectacular.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Dangerous Driving, you are 100% correct, is the spiritual successor to Burnout.
Yeah. And if you're wondering why didn't they make a crash mode, they had a game called Danger Zone, I think is what it was called. And the Danger Zone is literally just the crash mode. So I think they were just like, cool, if you want crash mode, here's crash mode in this version of this game. And then if you want to get dangerous driving, it's going to be like, the Burnout like.
I was impressed how close to Burnout Dangerous Driving was.
It was great, man. It was
It was
fantastic.
great. It was. It really was. I was like, wow, this is Burnout.
It is. So yeah, if Burnout is ever made again, it's not going to be by those people. It's going to be by a new team. Could it be great? Yeah, it's possible. Is EA ever going to do one? Probably not. Again, not going to make them, the boatload of cash that they're looking for. Even if they make it, I don't have faith that it would be the same. Those people aren't on there. They stuck them on Need for Speed and stuff like that. If you want to burn out, look for Dangerous Driving. Look for whatever Three Fields Entertainment is doing next.
And it's so sad because Burnout was such a beloved IP.
Dude, it was like uber popular, man. Like when like 3 and Revenge came out, everybody was
Hmm.
playing that. Everybody
Yes.
was playing that.
I
Paradise
mean,
came out, and a lot of people played Paradise too. That was even a really big game, but
it was
that
huge.
you kind of split the audience though. Half the people were like, "Oh, this is even better," and then the other half, like me and you, were like, "What the hell did you do?"
Agreed. Agreed.
So, but yeah, even Paradise was huge, man. They remade Paradise a few years ago and put it back
Hmm.
out. They re-released it,
Hmm.
and I was like, "All right, well, this game sold probably pretty. It probably sold pretty decently." But EA again was probably like, "Well, it only sold like 3 million copies. We needed to sell like 10 million copies to justify making another one or something like that." Idiots.
EA, listen to your public, man. We need another Burnout title. Non-Paradise. Go back. Go back to its roots.
Yeah, that's right. Old school. The next one here. Why don't we jump to this one, Wes? I'm gonna let you talk about this for a minute. Give me a break. Split Second. This is a Xbox 360 PS3 generation title, which I never
Mm-mm.
played, but I did pick up. I do own it. Tell me all about it, sir.
You need to play it. You need to play it. It's very Burnout,
Okay,
but it had it. Your environment basically was your weapon.
that sounds cool.
It does because like you raced and you drifted to build up like a power bar, like a boost bar, and once it's full, you can set it off to change your environment, which can cause hazards and cause your other racers to crash. But it changes the track.
That's awesome. Now, how does it? So when those things happen, that doesn't affect you. It only affects the other people. I'm assuming.
Oh no, you can get caught in it. You can get caught in the mix.
Okay, that's more interesting. I was gonna say like that's how do they justify that? Because you would assume that it's like
Mhm.
you're not prone to getting that damage or whatever is happening. But if you are, then I guess that makes it more interesting. Like, well, you might be screwing everybody else up, but you might be screwing yourself up too.
Yourself up too. Oh yeah, you had to be a good driver. Graphics were nice. It was super fast, very responsive. Like for example, there was a you were driving through like a I guess like an underpass,
Okay,
and if you ignited the environment, like a big bulldozer with a wrecking ball kind of interrupted the track and stuff started crashing down, and you can get caught in it. Yeah, there's another one where if you're racing in an airport, and if you ignite the environmental explosion, a traffic tower, airplane tower, like starts to fall. You see a plane start to crash, and it affects the track.
that's
So you
crazy.
have to your track takes a different route now. Ah, Split Second was so good, so good.
Yeah, it sounds like those are just like set piece moments that are all queued up and ready to go as soon as you
Mhm.
can launch that. That's awesome, man. That does sound fantastic. I do need
Yeah.
to play that game. That's another game that sold very well, uh, and there's no sequel to. So
That was, and I'm surprised. I think that was put out by Disney.
uh, it may have been. I thought Disney did Blur, but you might be right because Blur and Split Second came out within. I want to say within like 6 months of each other, if I remember correctly. Like they were kind of close together. Disney did one of the two, but maybe it was Split Second. It could have been. I don't remember. I have no idea.
Let's look. Yep, nope. Disney put it out.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, it was put out by Disney Interactive.
All right, let's hop to Cruisin' Blast. Now, I don't know if you've played this one. The Cruisin' series has been around for a while, so we can say the Cruisin' series, I guess. Blast
Hmm.
is the newest version, and it feels like Cruisin' mixed with Burnout is the best way I could describe it. Like it's there's all this over the top stuff is happening, but you get your boosts. You can traffic check people like you would in Burnout. You don't get that whole slow motion and like
Hmm.
it's not as cool, right? You just make them crash and you kind of move forward. There's hidden stuff in the game. There's collectibles to unlock stuff for cars. It's just a lot of fun, and it's available. Originally came out in arcades in like I don't know 2017 or something like that. It was an older arcade game, and they made it for the Switch, and that's
Cruising
the version.
Blast?
Yeah, Yeah, it's in the arcade. In fact, there's a Dave and
Okay.
Buster's near my house. I just started going there. They have
Mhm.
Cruise and Blast there, and I played it there. It's very similar to the Switch version. Switch version's fantastic. It's not like terrible for any means. So I highly recommend getting the Switch version if you can. I don't think it came out for a single console though. It didn't come out, it didn't come out for Xbox or
Nope.
PlayStation. Only
Nope.
on the Switch, which is bizarre. But it's very good. It's very good on the Switch.
But I did pick it up on your recommend because you was like, "Oh my god, you got to get this," and it was on sale, so I picked it up. But like the cruising games in general, kind of, I want to say they evolved because the first Cruising USA was just a driving game.
It felt more like that old Sega series, Outrun. It felt more like Outrun.
Hmm.
I would say in the beginning.
It did, it did, but then it kind of shifted, and then we got what San Francisco Rush.
But that was a different series. That has nothing to do with cruising. But yes, we did get San Francisco Rush for sure. That
Same
we're talking
same
about.
same company, right?
I don't remember. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Because then we had Cruising World.
Cruising World is when they started adding some like the really over the top stuff. I do remember that. Um, yeah, I think they had dinosaurs in Cruising World.
Okay.
So there were. I think there was another one in between them too, but I can't remember. I have no idea. They made a bunch of cruising games, but my point is, Blast is fantastic, and you should absolutely play it.
So does Blast play more like the Rush games?
Blast plays kind
Because
of.
you had San Francisco Rush and you had LA Rush, if I'm not mistaken.
LA
So
Rush was PS2.
okay, so does Cruising Blast play more like the Rush games or the cruising games?
It plays like the speed and everything feels like you're playing a cruising game. I
Hmm.
wouldn't say Rush always felt kind of slow. Yeah, it was fun, but it wasn't like it never felt as fast as cruising did. So cruising feels fast as like cruising always has felt fast, but the new version feels like it has hybrids of Burnout inside of it,
Okay.
and everything's very over the top. Like you're gonna see dinosaurs, you're gonna see all sorts of
Hmm.
crazy crap happening. Like in split second, when your environment changes, there are things that happen, but they're automatic. Like it's part of the level. It's not something you're triggering.
Okay. Okay.
But it's fantastic. Highly recommend. Next up is F-Zero. So this was a SNES title. Obviously, they re-released this and made different versions. There's one on Game Boy Advance. There's Super Nintendo. There's N64. There's GameCube. There's lots of versions of F-Zero, just none recently. Uh, unless you want to count F-Zero 99, which was that multiplayer thing they did on Switch. But F-Zero was basically like uh, I almost said Wave Race. It was nothing like Wave Race. Oh my god, Wipeout.
Like
It was
Wipeout.
yeah, yeah. It was basically Wipeout. Probably before Wipeout. Super fast. Like used that mode 7 that the SNES had,
Hmm.
and it did. It made you feel like you were going super fast, and it was challenging. It was not easy, especially I think as that series got further in, like they're hard, bro. The GameCube version's friggin' hard, man.
I hear. I never played an F-Zero game, and I love combat racing.
Dude, I'm really surprised. Now there's no weapons,
Mm-mm.
so take
Right.
you got to take out the weapons from Wipeout. There's no weapons, but it
Hmm.
feels like you're going as fast as Wipeout. It has that vibe. Um, Original Nintendo music, so good music, but it's not like a licensed soundtrack or anything like that.
Yeah, that's one I missed. On Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube. Never played the F Zero game. I know about it. I've just never physically sat down and played it.
Yeah, I would say start with like SNES probably. They're all very good versions. Like it doesn't matter which one you pick up, they're all pretty good.
Mhm.
But the SNES one, dude, it's probably I swear to God, it's probably like a $10 game loose. It's probably like a $20 or $30 game boxed. Uh, just because they sold so many of them, it was a huge seller for them. Star Wars Pod Racing. Now if you didn't know better, you say, what the hell are you talking about? The game is awesome.
Yes, it is.
If you're younger, you have no idea what we're talking about. You're talking about the stupid pod racing from episode 1. Yes, they made an
Mhm.
amazing game from it somehow. Don't know how, but they did it. And there's a Dreamcast version.
Yes, yeah, there is. There was a 64, a Nintendo 64 version, and there was a Dreamcast version.
And in the arcade, it had some big ass pod that you sat in, which was awesome. Dude,
Yes.
that's probably the definitive way to play the damn game. Sit your ass in the pod. That's right, man.
That game was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. It looked nice. You had a sense of speed. If anybody seen episode Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, it's just they just took that scene, that what 10 minutes of film footage, and
Yep,
turned it into a game. And
whole
it
game.
was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was really fun pod racing, and like even that scene in the movie is like there's not a lot like you want to get them back to the action or stuff, but again they kept it short in the movie. It's to the point, and like it was
Hmm.
it was good. It was
It was good.
surprisingly good. If
Hmm.
that scene went on for like 20 minutes, I'd probably want to put a bullet through my head. But they had they had a good pacing with it. Like it was like it was fine. If you played God of War Ragnarok and you're the little boy picking flowers, I think that section went on for like 5 hours. I wanted to turn the game off. I nearly did. That was bad pacing. But yeah, pod racing is so much fun. It's so much fun. If you have a Dreamcast and N64, you should absolutely buy these
Hmm.
games. They're not that expensive. Even the Dreamcast, which is getting expensive, I think the pod racing game is like $40 or less. Like something
Okay.
like 30, $40 is what I'm thinking the podcast game is on Dreamcast. And that I bought that one like a year or two ago, so that's relatively close to the same timeline as what it would cost today.
On Dreamcast?
Yeah, it's like 30, $40, something like that.
Well, let's check. Let us check right now. Star Wars Pod Racer for Dreamcast. Complete in box. You're real close. Right now it's going for about $26.
Okay, so even cheaper than I thought. You should
Hmm.
absolutely buy the game for God's sake. For $26, come on, man. Come on.
It's
Spend
worth it.
spend $26 at McDonald's nowadays. Go get the damn pod racing game. All right, Wes. These last two, I'm gonna need your help with a little bit. Now, Hydro Thunder, I have played very minimally, and it is awesome. This is like a wave racing
Ugh,
like game. Um, we didn't put wave racing on here, and we have Hydro Thunder. Can you help me figure out why we did
I don't know.
that?
I would say take out Midtown Madness and put Wave Race in there.
All right, on the fly, we're getting rid of Midtown Madness. There, we had that on here. Nobody cares. Putting wave race in right below it. All
But
right.
Hydro Thunder, Dreamcast launch title, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Power was it power speedboats? You picked up power ups, not weapons, which modified your boat. And you had like these super exaggerated jumps. You had definitely had a sense of like the water physics.
Mm-hmm.
So when you did a high jump and you came down, your boat bobbed up and down in the water. Oh, awesome! I loved Hydro Thunder.
I'd never played that original one. I played. There was like I don't think it was a re-release. I think it was a sequel or something. They put it on. It was on Xbox 360 because I played it with backwards compatibility on Xbox One. I had a blast playing that game. It was really really good. Uh, to Wes's point, like I think you do tricks and stuff, right? If you hit like ramps, you do tricks, kind of like in Wave Race, also.
You could, if you got enough air, you could.
Yeah, but it was mostly about speed.
It was all about speed.
Wave Race is more about like doing tricks and like you can do different stuff. Yes, you're in a race. It says race in the title. Yes, obviously you're racing, but you hit ramps, do tricks, stuff like that. Wave Race always broke the ground for water physics. Like when you saw that in
Mm-hmm.
N64, it was like, oh my god, looks like crap now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was like, oh my god. And then Blue Storm came out on GameCube. Like, oh my god, it can't get better. It got better than that too. But for the time, I mean, those water physics were spectacular.
So would you classify Wave Race as a combat racer or just a straight
No,
racer?
I mean, you're not. It's not combat. No, that's probably why we didn't. Did we put Hydro Thunder on there because of those power ups? Like, were you hitting other people, or were they just making you faster?
They were just making you faster.
See, then I don't think that should be in there either. I don't know. It's not combat.
No, no, it's not combat.
Who cares? They're awesome. You should play both of them.